Tonight, minority accuses the Mahama administration of running a Galamsey economy and not delivering broad-based growth it promised ahead of the media budget review tomorrow.
Now, let me refresh your memory. In 2025, when the minister read the 2024 review and realized that there had been growth in the economy, mostly led by gold, I'm sure you recall what he said. He said there was Galamsey growth. So, today, as they are going to hint their growth numbers on gold, it is fair to say that what is going on is that Galamsey accounting, which they will be touting as growth.
So is the Mahama administration indeed running a Galamsey economy? We will be speaking to the minority, the majority, and an economist here on Top Story. Top Story is brought to you by Telecel Connecting Energies, Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. Shield Pension Trust into the future with you. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi, when we return from the break, we'll get into action.
There are many reasons to connect, and it's all to put smiles on the faces of those you love.
Daddy, thanks for the tea cash, okay? I love you.
That's my daughter, Angela. Caring for my parents, that's my duty. I also get to pay my utility bills easily with Telecel Cash. And to the suppliers at my shop,
hello, sir. Telecel Cash payment received right on time. Thank you.
I get to make them smile because I can pay to my suppliers' merchant numbers, even on other networks directly. My dear ones, we keep the connection stronger when our family, friends, and business relations are happy. Live on cash, enjoy convenience, and make those who matter smile when you send them money with Telecel Cash.
Telecel, connecting energies.
Moolah Sports. See the all sharp, no long thing. MoolahSports.com.gh. Instant win, instant cash out. MoolahSports.com.gh. Moolah Sports, we dey run the city. Play, win, cash out. Yes, play and stand a chance to win Moolah at MoolahSports.com.gh. Enjoy premium soccer action, exciting trips on the aviator plane, and exciting spins on all your favorite virtual games. Moolah Sports. More Moolah. Bet responsibly. Gambling can be addictive. Not for persons under 18. This advertisement is regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana.
Palladium Residences in Achimota isn't just an address, it's the home you've truly earned. Secure your place with just a 10% deposit and choose from beautifully designed modern apartments or spacious townhouses built for everyday comfort. This is more than a building. It's a vibrant curated community with a clubhouse, state-of-the-art gym, and an on-site hotel, all at ABC Junction, minutes from Achimota Mall. Enjoy city energy whilst retreating to your private sanctuary. Call now to reserve your unit and benefit from limited launch incentives, including priority unit selection. Don't miss the chance to pick the best homes. Book your private site visit today. Call 050-9823-424. Palladium Residences. Live smart, invest better.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining in my ears, bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. Till I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, I sleep. With holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302 681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kindle Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom. Kingdom. And my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first port of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Takweje, Osu near the Osu Cemetery, Tema near Community 4, Takoradi opposite Vijay Mays Plaza, Cape Coast University Bookshop, Spintex Road near Absa Bank, Atomic Centerpoint Mall, Winneba University Campus, KNUST, the University Bookshop, and Santasi in Kumasi. You can also visit our shop online, www.kingdomstoreonline.com. Hurry while stock lasts. For further inquiries, contact us on 050-162-0810 or 0302-764-101. Email info@kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, where quality and affordability is assured. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to Top Story. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi. Tonight, the minority in Parliament has launched one of its strongest attacks yet on the Mahama administration's economic record, accusing government of presiding over what it describes as a Galamsey economy driven by soaring gold prices rather than sound economic policy. Ranking member on Parliament's Economy and Development Committee, Kojo Nkrumah, argues that government will use tomorrow's media budget review to portray the economy as having moved from stability to growth. The minority says an economy that depends largely on gold prices remains highly vulnerable to external shocks and wants the finance minister to explain how growth, foreign exchange earnings and government revenue will be sustained if gold prices fall.
The growth story that we're seeing is on gold. It's not based on any policy. The government will tout the first quarter growth of about 6.4% to say that, the economy is performing, it is rebounding, there's higher growth. This is how they hope to make the argument that we have moved from stability to growth. But go into the details. Industry's growth rate jumped from 1.9 to 6.9%, yes, in one quarter. But if you double click, it shows you that it's on the back of gold mining and export earnings hitting a record $31.1 billion in 2025. Why? Because of historically high gold prices. Now, let me refresh your memory. In 2025, when the minister read the 2024 review and realized that there had been growth in the economy, mostly led by gold, I'm sure you recall what he said. He said there was Galamsey growth. So, today, as they are going to hint their growth numbers on gold, it is fair to say that what is going on is that's Galamsey accounting, which they will be touting as growth. If gold returns to its 5-year average price, what will our growth figure be? What will the trade surplus be? What will the primary balance be? Where will they get forex to continue pumping onto the market? And now that matter has been established. We started talking about it in the first quarter of 2025. They disputed it. Now the jury is clear on it. The review that the minister will publish tomorrow must answer the sensitivity analysis, else we are living on borrowed time.
The minority is also challenging government to explain how it intends to meet its ambitious revenue target after missing first quarter projections. Ranking member on the Economy and Development Committee, Kojo Nkrumah, again says both tax collections and oil revenues have fallen below expectations, creating what he describes as a widening revenue gap.
The first quarter revenue missed the program target by about 4.5%. Oil revenue fell from about 19.8 billion Ghana cedis in 2024 to 8.7 billion Ghana cedis in 2025. And first quarter oil receipts this year were about 37.6% below target. Does the 268.1 billion cedis full year revenue target still stand, Mr. Minister? Or are you going to revise it downwards? And if it still stands, from where are you going to close this gap without new distortionary taxes on households and businesses? It's important that we all keep an eye on this figure, the revenue figure that Parliament has approved. And as he delivers the mid-year review tomorrow, we ask ourselves, with all of this underperformance, is he going to review the revenue target downwards? Or if he's keeping it, then the question is, where are they going to close the gap from? Because if it's not closed, they cannot spend on the promises that they have made. The question hanging on Thursday is the surplus a policy achievement or a reporting artifact of budgets that were simply not executed. On the evidence, ladies and gentlemen, we are clear that it is the second. Fiscal space created by under-execution is not true fiscal space. It's only a deferral of things that you still have to do at the end of the day. And you'll recall quite recently, we were reminded in a very sad way when, for example, expenses that needed to be made on flood control programs were not done. In the end, when the floods came, we saw the number of people who perished. So fiscal space that is created by under execution is not fiscal space. The real cost is there for the people to pay.
Taisa is a member of the Finance Committee in Parliament. Kojo Nkrumah is the ranking member of the Economy and Development Committee in Parliament as well. Both are joining me for a conversation on this. Gentlemen, grateful for your time this evening. Mr. Taisa, I want to begin with you. Is this government running a Galamsey economy as being purported by the minority?
Some of them. But categorically, I will say that Ghana is not a Galamsey economy or a gold economy. Gold is part of any reserve accumulation program across the globe. And for that matter, it is not unusual for Bank of Ghana to use its natural resources as part of its reserve builder programs. Now, if you go through... Hello?
I can hear you, sir.
The statement that was released by Honorable Kojo Nkrumah, I will take in some few points that I would note. Now, it states in the program that the 2025 primary surplus was of poor quality because revenue missed targets and expenditure was compressed. That was the statement that they made. But I want listeners to understand that a fiscal balance is just the difference between revenue and expenditure. So it is not unusual for a government facing revenue shortages or uncertainty and limited financial options to adjust expenditure. In local parlance, we say we'll cast your coat according to the size of your cloth. So this was intended to protect deficit and primary balance targets. Now, the minority, of course, it is logical for them to say that it is an adjustment that was done. But the government has shown that essential capital and social spendings were protected. For example, the big push and many other projects were protected despite we missing some revenue targets. So it is incorrect to describe that every expenditure savings in their mind is a prop. Now, let's look at the validation by the IMF itself as to whether these figures that were churned out were fictitious. The IMF in the 2026 mission assessment, the fund states this, and I quote, the fiscal performance had strengthened markedly, and that the primary surplus had overperformed the program targets, and the quantitative program targets were mostly met. It also attributed Ghana's stabilization gains to strong reform efforts and progress in debt restructuring program. The 2026 budget further reports that the government medium-term framework is anchored on maintaining a primary surplus of at least 1.5% of GDP, supported by a strong tax administration, digitalization, compliance improvement, and expenditure control. This is the verdict of the IMF, and I think that I have to place that on record. Now, if you look at the minority once again, and I'm sorry to do this, but if you say because Ghana is moving from an IMF ECF facility to a non-financial policy coordination instrument means that Ghana still requires external supervision, and that's why, because without supervision we are already borrowing 1 billion. Let me provide this categorical. This is a misleading interpretation of what an IMF instrument is. First of all, a policy coordination instrument is not a financing instrument, and it is not intended for any compulsion to countries. In fact, the IMF in each website also describes countries that benefit from a PCI program to be countries with stable macroeconomic environment. You cannot enjoy a PCI program if you do not have a stable macroeconomic environment. What it does is to signal policy credibility and reform discipline. It suggests that countries where investors want to do businesses with countries under a PCI program, it suggests that those countries have prudence and discipline in management of the public financial management. Now, the ECF facility, first of all, choosing an instrument after the ECF facility for me in itself, it doesn't indicate any failure. It indicates that Ghana is no longer require immediate balance of payment problems, as we witnessed in 2022, and the minority has to get this. Now, finally, before I know my brother is online, so that I'll come later on. Now, describing the growth numbers we have to good than government policy, it debunks what the IMF says, and I would rather prefer to err on the side of the IMF than to err on the side of the minority. This is what the IMF had to say about that. Now, the IMF is saying that gold was undoubtedly a major contributor to export earnings, reserve accumulation, and external stability. Government commodity prices constitute a favorable external factor, like I indicated earlier. But it is analytically incorrect for the minority to conclude that the growth is therefore not as a result of policy. The Ghana Statistical Service records 6.4% real GDP growth in the first quarter. The Bank of Ghana's May 2026 data also reported 2025 real GDP of 6% and non-oil growth rate of 7.6%, indicating that activity was not confined to petroleum or a single extractive sector. And that is what I want my brother to understand, that it is not the case that gold did not perform in the growth we are seeing, but it is not confined to only gold or the extractive sector, because if you look at the real GDP per se, it's about 6.4%. That tells you that productive sectors of this country was performing equally good. And this is my last statement that has to do with the minority stating that the government of Ghana is mentioning a different debt figure, and then what's the name? IMF is also mentioning a different figure. I beg to differ. Look, it is important for us to understand that debt ratios differ either in numbers, and it doesn't mean that any of those numbers are false. I'll give you a special example. If you remember under the MPP administration, when they were reporting below the line and then above the line,
okay,
they always had a different figure with that of the IMF. And when we sought the understanding of the IMF, in fact, we wrote personally to the IMF to state the official position of the Ghana's public debt situation. And the minority now who were in government made it categorical that it is as a result of accounting issues. And let me provide you with this decomposition. Now, if you look at the differences that can arise from the data released by the IMF and the data released by World Bank and the participating country, it can differ as a result of the central government versus a broader public sector coverage.
Okay.
Which ones are they looking at? What exactly are they constituting as a public debt? It can also be as a result of either they will include SOE's debt or exclude them as a country. We can also look at the treatment of the financial sector cleanup that they did, the energy sector, and many other sectors that are one-stop bulk sums of money that most governments do not do. And
Right.
then the exchange rate that will be used for conversion.
Okay.
And that is significant. Because the IMF always benchmark its exchange rate for 2025 at 12.6 Ghana cedis. And that is not what we use. We use the average spot rate at the end of the year to calculate, to convert all external borrowings or external component of our debt into the functional currency of Ghana cedis.
Okay, Taisa, don't go yet. Let me bring in Kojo Opon Nkrumah. He's the ranking member on the Economy and Development Committee. Mr. Opon Nkrumah, welcome to the program. You described the current growth as a Galamsey economy, yet gold exports also helped the MPP administration. What makes today's reliance on gold fundamentally different from during the era of MPP?
Good evening. Good evening to Atta. Good evening to your listeners. And I want to start by saying that I feel the difficulty that Atta is going through in trying to square the circles. I know it's a difficult job, and I can only wish him well as he, goes on this enterprise. Now, first of all, we have not described the economy as a Galamsey economy. I want to be very exact on the words that I use today. Precision is important. What we have said is that in 2024, when the economy grew, and the Honorable Ato Forson, in the early part of 2025, when he assumed office, was doing a review of the growth, he said that because that growth was hinged on gold production and gold prices, it was a Galamsey economy. That's what he said. And we went further to say that Q1, the numbers that the minister will come and read to you tomorrow, he will say is 6.4% for Q1, but embedded within that 6.4% is a dominant growth in industry, and when you double click, it's gold. And so if in 2024 his assessment was that an economy growing on gold was a Galamsey economy, what should we say now? I'm sure you understand me and your listeners understand me. And we said that, then now we say that what they are doing is Galamsey accounting. So we are not the ones who have introduced this narrative. We are relying on the narrative cogently supplied by the current finance minister, that when an economy grows on gold is Galamsey economy. We are saying that then what he's doing now is Galamsey accounting, based on his own framework that he introduced. Nothing more, nothing less. Number two, when we say that they have manufactured a fiscal balance by suppressing expenditure, I'm happy Atta has not disputed any of the numbers that we have put out. His argument is that we are misinterpreting and making wrong conclusions. He's entitled to his opinion. He's not entitled to his own set of facts. The facts are that revenue, as promised us, was 18% of GDP. Mr. Forson told us that the NDC has a superior fiscal strategy that will yield 18% of GDP without introducing new taxes. The fact also is that they have introduced 8 new taxes, contrary to the promise, and revenue has not only failed to reach 18% of GDP. In one of their reports, it's actually 15.7% of GDP, which is lower than what they inherited, 16% of GDP. But to cover up for this failure in revenue mobilization, this colossal failure, they have had to suppress expenditure so that they can manufacture a primary balance. It's like, let me break it down. It's like you have a target to raise or to make sales of 100 cedis and expenses of 800 so that you make profit of 200. Now that 800 expenses, that is food that your children have to eat. That is school fees of your children. That is health bills of your children. You have failed to raise that 1,000 cedis revenue. You ended up doing about 700. And to pretend that you were still profitable at 200, you have cut the expenses to 500, and you've manufactured a 200 balance, and you're asking everybody in the family to clap for you. The consequence is that the food, the school fees, the health bills of your children is what you have sacrificed to manufacture that primary surplus. So The gravamen of our intervention today was to draw the nation and the minister and the government's attention respectfully to the fact that the figures that they are manufacturing by suppressing expenditure do not represent a true and proper fiscal surplus. A true and proper fiscal surplus is when you meet your revenue targets and you stay within your expenditure commitments and you achieve the balance that you have asked for. Number 3, this government told the whole country that contrary to our primary balance surplus built on the commitment arrears that we left, they have discovered that we left 65 billion arrears. Go back to the Hansard and the footage of Parliament in April 2025. I challenged him on the floor that is voodoo accounting. We have a way of calculating arrears agreed in the IMF framework. You don't go around asking anybody who claims that government owes him to bring a bill, and then you add that together and say that, therefore, our arrears are 65 billion.
Okay, could you hold on for me? Let me bring in Appiah at this point.
He has spoken on about 6 issues, so let me respond to the 6 issues. I'm now on issue number 3. You told us that you've mopped up 65 billion liabilities from around. We told you that you don't do it that way. You rely on the giftness disclosure of arrears. When they now subjected their 65 billion to the Auditor General came back and said that it was actually about 45 billion. If they even use their formula, it is 45 billion, if their formula will be allowed. Now catch the trick. They claim that they were going to service those arrears. Now they claim that they have serviced 11 billion of those arrears. But in the road sector alone, now they are disclosing that they have new 40 billion Ghana cedis arrears. Where did that 40 billion arrears come from? And by the way, the arrears that he's going to disclose to us tomorrow, is he going to use the same formula of going around the country and asking everybody who claims that the government owes him to bring it? Or is now going back to giftness? Because if he does, then he's comparing apples and oranges. You cannot in one breath refuse the giftness figure, go around and collect anybody's figure to make the NBC look good, or rather to make the MPP look bad. Then when it gets to your turn to disclose your arrears, you say, let's use giftness. No, we reject that. We will not use giftness. Now to the question of what a PCI is. We all know what a PCI is. But we are saying respectfully that an economy that has moved from stability to growth does not go for a PCI. You are going for a PCI because, and I like the fact that Appiah was honest, you need credibility for the ideas that you are putting out. On your own, you don't have that credibility. On your own, when you say that you have moved from stability to growth, nobody will mind you because they will look at the figures. But when they see that you have a PCI, i.e. the IMF is standing behind you and giving you cover, they may be willing to listen to you. And so the English, the grammar, the narrative that we've moved from stability to growth is betrayed not only by the data, but also by the fact that you have gone back to grandpa to come and stand behind you and to intervene and to give you cover. I'll end with the issue of debt ratios. It is very rich to hear the NDC now saying that debt ratios may differ depending on which calculation you are using. Really? The IMF says that by 2028, our debt to GDP ratio should not exceed 55%. We have also agreed to that target. While the government is publishing about 45% to us now, other analysts are saying that we are currently heading to about 53% by the end of this year. This is even before they came to Parliament for $1 billion yesterday, right after 9 weeks after the IMF has left town. And we are respectfully submitting that if they continue failing on revenue and covering up by cutting expenses, and in its place, they start borrowing from the back door to cover the hole and tell us that everything is fine, the debt to GDP target of 2028 is already at risk. And we respectfully submit that unlike the other instances in which everything we say they deny and it comes out to be true, please listen. It will bode well for you and for the entire Ghanaian economy.
Right, Kojo, hold on for me. That's Kojo Appoah Nkrumah there. He's the ranking member on the Economy and Development Committee. We also have Appiah, who's the member of the Finance Committee in Parliament. It's time for News Night. Gemma has the headlines. Gemma, what's coming up?
So tonight, jailed NPP Ashanti Regional Chairman Bernard Enchibo-Siakon, also known as Chairman Wontumi, receives his first high-profile visitor as NPP flag bearer Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia shows up at the prison in solidarity. We have details. Also, majority and minority clash over reports showing Ghana's debt to GDP ratio has fallen to 44% ahead of the much anticipated mid-year budget review presentation by the Finance Minister on Thursday.
We are having some good numbers because there was a debt restructuring program.
Mr. Speaker, we don't have to rely on CD appreciation as a basis to say our debt stock has reduced.
We have details as the minority accuses the government of suppressing expenditure to create an artificial budget surplus.
Because expenditure was compressed by 13.8% of GDP. In plain language, the government did not outcollect its target.
And we hear from the business community on its expectations for Thursday's budget review. Also, Musa Dankwa and his Global Info Analytics incurred the wrath of Inshaiso MP Dr. Stephen Amwa over his MP's performance polls, which ranked him among the least performing, describing the work as dangerous.
Musa Dankwa, my own brother, is depending on. This is very, very demotivating. This is very dangerous because I believe in myself that with my performance within 6 years and with the opportunity I had, what I've done, I don't think you can get more than 10 MPs to do what I've done.
In business.
Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama warns rising crude prices could come with some shocks for the city and the country's international reserves.
In sports.
Confederation of African Football announces AFCON expansion from 24 to 28 teams.
And on your say.
We tell you how a simple phone call can empty your mobile wallet and why social engineering has become a major challenge for Ghana's digital economy ahead of tonight's Digital Economy Forum. As always, you can be part of the conversation. Share your thoughts with us on X with the hashtag Newsnight or by text or voice notes on 055 1111 997. Once again, 055 1111 997.
All these coming up shortly.
But in the meantime, though, let's wrap up the conversation with Appiah and Kojo Appoah Nkrumah. I still have Appiah on the line. He's a member of the Finance Committee in Parliament. Mr. Appiah, the minority, through its ranking member on the Economy and Development Committee, says that you have failed as an administration in revenue mobilization. The minority is also arguing that inflation is rising, the cedi has started depreciating. Are you concerned, really, going into the media budget review tomorrow, that these gains could be reversed in the second half of the year?
Yeah, absolutely. As a government, we are concerned with the perspective that affects the real sector of the economy. So if we are seeing a reverse trend, I think every government should be concerned moving forward. And I think that's primarily what the Minister of Finance is intending to do, to show the path of recovery and resilience so that the current economic gains that we are seeing is maintained and consolidated. But it's important for me to just respond to a few issues. Number one, I think that there is still a misunderstanding of a PCI program. I maintain that countries that subscribe to a PCI program are countries with stable and macroeconomic stability. For you to qualify for a PCI program, it means that that country should have had that level of stability and resilience to qualify for a PCI program. If you don't have resilience and stability, you qualify for a financing regime that is the ECF facility. So I think that should be clear from this conversation. The second issue is that there is the prophecy of doom in the press release and what Honorable Kojo Appoah Nkrumah is saying, suggesting that if the gold prices are not going up, then our reserves and the primary balance will collapse. That is an absolute fiction. Let me say this is a scenario being created and not established by any facts. Ghana as a country, because we are a commodity dependent nation, Ghana as a country is already exposed to commodity price risk.
So always, Bank of Ghana does sensitivity analysis to make sure that our investment options are appropriate. So the minority hasn't demonstrated any fiscal improvement that came from gold primarily. Like I indicated from the beginning, I said that the real sector is performing 6.4%. That is minus gold. So if you are seeing a real sector performance of 6.8, it tells you that the growth is engineered not only through the extractive sector commodities. And I think that is also important for me to clarify. Now, this issue of the 67.5 billion arrears that was announced in 2025 March, it is important for us to understand something. The arrears we are talking about, first of all, is an inherited problem that was contained in the IMF fourth review in 2024.
Okay.
Now, this is an exception. In fact, the IMF described the wording the IMF used was, this was an inherited problem with an exceptional scale. The Ministry of Finance, through the budget that they presented, reported that the 2024 ended the year with a central government arrears of an approximately 67.5 billion, equivalent to about 5.7%. That is why it's an exceptional one. Because if you represent 5.7% of GDP, it's quite a lot. Now, let's provide a distinction here, please. The difference between the 67.5 and the amount being quoted by the validated audit report for clearance is that, one, the discrepancy can arise as a result of the claims submitted. I think the Deputy Finance Minister came to Parliament and provided an update. In fact, that matter was even referred to the Public Accounts Committee, and some of these areas were described to be fictitious, and some people have started refunding monies. Some claims were rejected outwardly. We also saw a lot of contractual liabilities that was imposed on government. Some certificates was also issued, but the due date was not even confirmed, yet it was captured under the 2024 giveaway program for payment.
Okay.
So this issue is a criminal matter, and we should not toy with it. Finally, I've argued this matter with Honorable Kojo Nkrumah multiple times, and I think that it is still not going. First of all, they claim that the Bank of Ghana recorded 44.5 billion Ghana cedis true loss, and it's a fiscal time bomb in their ways. Number one, the Bank of Ghana never reported a fiscal loss of 44.5 billion. What the Bank of Ghana reported was that the operating loss of our country was 15.63 billion. Other comprehensive income of 19.32 billion. What the NPP has done consistently is to add a cash loss of 15.63 billion to a non-cash expenditure of 19.22 billion. This defies any accounting principle. And I dare Honorable Kojo to tell me where the profit or loss of a year is added to the other comprehensive income to depict total operating loss of a firm.
Right. Appiah, thank you very much. Kojo Nkrumah is still with me. Kojo, you want to make a rebuttal briefly?
Absolutely. He has a question. Let me answer him. He says it's there way. I'm showing him. It is in the balance sheet of the Bank of Ghana. Go to balance sheet. Don't measure profit or relax. When you make a loss or a profit, you go to your balance sheet and you account for it under your retained earnings or loss. And when you go to the retained earnings, let me speak. Don't interrupt me. Let me speak.
Respectfully, Appiah, let Kojo land. Appiah, would you kindly let Kojo land?
I'm going to show him where they have been trying to pull the wool over the eyes of Ghanaians. When you go to the balance sheet of the Bank of Ghana, you will find that their retained earnings has been adjusted by a negative 34 billion. You know where that 34 billion is? It's coming from the 15 billion operating loss, yes, that he talks about, and then the 19 billion other comprehensive loss. That is where you put the two together and adjust it on your balance sheet. Ask any accounting lecturer and he will show you. Let me deal with some of the other issues. What is the name of it? When you add the two, what is the name? You have adjusted your balance sheet by 34 billion. That is the true loss that you have made. What is the name? That is the true loss you have made. Don't change the name to deceive Ghanaians. But by the way, let me go to the other issues that he has mentioned. He claims that the 6.4% growth does not include gold. Did he say that the 6.4% growth does not include gold? Go and check the figures. Joy yourself. Call your data people and let them open up and disaggregate growth. you will find that the 6.4 includes agric industry and services. And in industry, you will find the growth in gold. We quoted it at our press conference where it has shot up to. It's not specifically gold, it is referred to as mining. You will find the details there. And if you go into mining, you will find those details there. Now, it means that now we should use the 2024 gift list program as the basis for the arrears. I want to respectfully submit that the 2024 gift list program never stated the 67 billion Ghana cedis arrears.
Okay.
That 67 billion Ghana cedis was because they went to town asking anybody who believes government owes them to bring it. Of course, when you do that, people will bring you fictitious claims. Who told you that is how we account for arrears? It is because they did that they ended up getting fictitious claims. And when it was audited, the Auditor General tells them that only 45 billion of those are claims. That even if we were going to use their own approach, could be acceptable.
Right, Kojo Nkrumah, thank you very much for your time. He's the ranking member in the Economy and Development Committee in Parliament. We also earlier heard from Ataisa, who is a member of the Finance Committee in Parliament and also MP for Sanarigu. Gemma, we have a new story or a developing story to bring to our listeners this evening. What is it?
Well, Ken, the NPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has visited the jailed Ashanti Regional Chairman of the party, Bernard Enchibo-Siako, popularly known as Chairman Wontumi, in prison. We can now speak to the MP for Ekuapem North and aide to Dr. Bawumia, Sami Oku, for more on his visit. Sami, welcome to News 9. Why did Dr. Bawumia feel the need to visit Chairman Wontumi?
Hello, good evening, and good evening to your cherished listeners. Yes, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party for the 2028 general elections, this afternoon, joined by the minority leader, the general secretary of the party, the former majority minority leader, the Honorable Osei Mensah-Bonsu, the regional chairman for Greater Accra and Eastern Region, and about 15 members of parliament from Ashanti region and Eastern region paid the Ashanti regional chairman of the NPP, whom we believe and categorize as a political prisoner today at Nsawam. And it was also for the flag bearer of the NPP to assure Mr. Enchibo-Siako, Chairman Wontumi, that we still believe that the decision by the court was perverse and was erroneous. And it's something that he also informed Chairman Wontumi that he had instructed the party's legal team and the party's senior lawyers to also take over the case. Mind you, anything that we also do is his case, so we have to also seek his consent as well. Even though Dr. Bawumia earlier on Friday had met very senior lawyers of the party the moment the judgment was handed down to Chairman Wontumi, the presidential candidate of the NPP convened an emergency meeting of party stalwarts and senior lawyers of the party to also discuss the way forward. It also did come to light that he had to also then seek the consent as well of Chairman Wontumi and also assure him of the party's preparedness to stand by him in these difficult times. Again, the presidential candidate also did inform him that in furtherance to that, he will also be making a trip to the Ashanti region to also meet the top brass of the party and that of his members of parliament and the council of elders and patrons of the party and party executives across the Ashanti region to also have some closed-door discussions with them.
I want to find out how he was doing. Today he appeared in court for his court case about the Tanot Nimrim forest. Some people saw him, but when the team went to see him in prison, how was his demeanor? How was he? Was he in high spirit?
He appeared very calm. He was in high spirit, but he was also very upset about the judgment as well. And all of us are upset because this is the first time that we're hearing somebody being convicted based on circumstantial evidence. This is a criminal prosecution. And in law, in criminal prosecutions, you also have to know that you have to prove beyond every reasonable doubt, any iota of doubt, inures to the benefit of the accused. And so, there are several grounds that we've established for us to be able to pursue an appeal. And so I wouldn't like to go into the case much, but the presidential candidate also needed to also assure the jail chairman of the Ashanti region that he's not alone. The presidential candidate said he stands shoulder to shoulder with him. He also encouraged him to be strong, to be firm, and also be in high spirit because he's not alone. And he also did inform them, the officials, that the officials of the Nsawam prison, that in accordance with due process and protocols, it will also not be the first time that he will be visiting, but in accordance with their protocols and security laid down procedures. So all of us, Chairman Wontumi once again use the opportunity to also walk us through his issues. And I'm sure these issues are clear and already in the public domain, so I wouldn't like to belabor the point. But in all this, one thing that also came out strongly was that he said that he knows that the MPP spirit is still with him. And he knows that his party supporters and across the country will also continue to also bear him in prayers, and we stand by him. Once again, let me also repeat that the presidential candidate is clear in his mind that the decision of the court was defective. He believes that we have several grounds that we need to also pursue to have a successful appeal. That notwithstanding, it is the decision of the court. We disagree with the decision of the court. We respect the judiciary. We have confidence in the judiciary, but there are laid down procedures for us to also seek remedies in law.
How regularly does the flag bearer intend visiting Chairman Wontumi whilst in prison?
I'm unable to divulge that.
Right. We are grateful for your time. Samir Wuku is the MP for Akuapem North and aide to Dr. Baumia, the flag bearer of the NPP.
In other stories this evening, the MPP MP for Inshaya, so Dr. Stephen Amua, is tonight hitting back at a parliamentary performance poll by Global Info Analytics, describing the findings as dangerous and lacking any credible basis. The poll, conducted by the research firm led by Musa Dankwa, ranked Dr. Amua among members of Parliament considered to be performing poorly, but addressing journalists in Parliament, the Inshayazu MP rejected the assessment, questioning the basis on which his performance was evaluated and arguing that the poll gives the public a distorted picture of the work of legislators.
What was the main or the core functions of MPs that Dankwa Musa dwell on? Then my conversation with him, he said that expectations of the constituency, and he sent me a diagram, including currency stabilization, roads, and all those things. I'm like, wow, is that the functions of the MP? If currency stabilization is not good, is it the MP? If the roads are not good, is it the MP? I think we are doing this nation a great disservice. And it's bad that people like us, that we've done so much well. I can't remember some of them. Go and check in my own constituency. Please go and find out. Go and check. As I'm talking to you now, I'm putting up a library for a whole community, my own pocket money. There are so many things I'm doing in my constituency. In fact, I shouldn't have said this, but I will say it. Even core MPP activists, agents, and coordinators working, because they have dedicated greater part of their time serving the party, I have a health fund for them, my own pocket money. That when you are not well and you are asked to buy drugs or go for lab, you can take minimum 500 Ghana cedis, 5 million, all Ghana, my own pocket money. They manage the fund themselves with bank accounts, with fidelity. Ask yourself, how many MPs in our country? So I wonder what Musa Dankwa, my own brother, is depending on. This is very, very demotivating. This is very dangerous because I believe in myself that with my performance within 6 years and with the opportunity I had, what I've done, I don't think you can get more than 10 MPs to do what I've done. And I'm not comparing myself to my MPs, but I'm talking about top performance. So Mr. Dankwa should come again.
Well, Dr. Stephen Amwa insists the poll fundamentally mischaracterizes the role of MPs by reducing their work to metrics that, in his view, fail to capture their full responsibilities, both inside and outside the legislative chamber. He argues that his record as a legislator and his contributions beyond Parliament demonstrate that he cannot fairly be classified as a non-performing MP.
One of the reputable men that I respect most in this country, Mr. Musa Dankwa. There is this thing in circulation that he had or he has appraised the performance or performances of some selected MPs in Ghana, and he has categorized them into high performance and low or poor performance. And strangely enough, he placed me among those, according to his work, were low performers. And I'm not doing this because it's me. I'm doing this because I am extremely surprised. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here just from on top of my head because I send him messages and it's not good to exchange my messages with him. And without looking at anything, what I could remember, I sent him the things, some of the things I had done or have done in my constituency. Before I list them, I want everyone to understand that when it comes to MP, your core function is what you do in Parliament. Let's be very honest with ourselves. And ladies and gentlemen, my work here in Parliament on the floor, I don't think you can sit here and judge MPs here in terms of our performances in this house. That when you are placing those in the category of excellent performance, you take me out. Because especially in terms of extemporaneous presentations, almost all my personal official statement here, Honorable Right Barbin set a committee because of the importance attached to my statements.
Dr. Stephen Amwa is the MP for Inshayasu in the Ashanti region.
Let's go back to our earlier story about Chairman Wuntumi's incarceration. Today, he made his first court appearance in a prison bus after spending 2 nights in prison following his 20-year prison sentence in the Samra Boy illegal mining case on Monday. Looking grim, subdued, and somber, Wuntumi appeared before the Accra High Court to witness proceedings in his separate Tanot Nimrim illegal mining case, one of the high-profile criminal prosecutions he's currently facing. Legal Affairs correspondent Fatao Bayaga reports from court.
Flanked by prison officers, Gemma Wuntumi was escorted into the courtroom through a back entrance within the court complex to shield him from the public, particularly journalists who were poised to capture images of him at the slightest opportunity. Wuntumi appeared calm and quiet as he made his way to Criminal Court 1 of the Accra High Court. For the first time in many months, he did not have the opportunity to display his recently acquired trademark, clock it or wave at loved ones and media practitioners gathered at the court premises. He was dressed in a neatly tucked white long-sleeve shirt paired with black trousers. Upon entering the courtroom with prison officers, the court presided over by Justice Ruby Aite informed him that his lawyer and the Appiah had written to indicate that he would be unavailable for today's proceedings. The court subsequently adjourned the case to July 31. Gemma Wuntumi is facing 7 counts for allegedly engaging in illegal mining activities in the protected Tanot Nimrim Forest Reserve by felling trees and erecting structures within the forest. The third and final prosecution witness is currently under cross-examination. When proceedings resume on July 31, the court is expected to continue with the cross-examination of the prosecution's final witness before the trial moves to its next stage. For Joy News, Fatao Bayaga, Accra High Court.
Let's bring you more stories this evening. The rollout of Ghana's revised basic school curriculum is now entering its implementation phase after the Education Ministry directed the Ghana Education Service to prepare an administrative framework within 1 week for its implementation. Under the new framework, pupils in kindergarten to basic 3 will be taught to read and learn primarily in Ghanaian languages, while English will continue to be taught as a subject. The National Council for Curriculum Assessment, NACA, says the move follows a review that identified weaknesses in learning outcomes, particularly in mathematics, Ghanaian languages, and other core subjects.
The curriculum? The curriculum also introduces computing and coding at the foundational level, strengthens ethics and values education, standardizes Arabic teaching from primary 1 to 6, and creates opportunities for interested schools to introduce Chinese as an additional foreign language. Director General of NACA, Professor Samuel Bequain, explains the thinking behind the reforms and the changes being introduced.
We did a curriculum mapping to identify what we have to do. So, Honourable Minister, basically 4 major structural changes have been brought into this review curriculum. One is the consolidation of civic learning and competencies. It used to be across many subjects, but we're looking at, because we didn't want to introduce any new subject to overload the students, we're looking at a subject that can hold all these competencies, being the knowledge, the attitudes, the values, and then the skills that learners need to become effective civic participants in the Ghanaian economy. And so we went through the old curriculum and realized that in the past there was this subject, citizenship education, that was sidelined and then OWOP was brought back. We felt that a consolidated subject that can take all these things together, history and all these things together, better sits with citizenship education than what was previously there. So we are proposing with what we are submitting that citizenship education should be the subject that will consolidate all these civic competencies and learnings that will make our learners functional. The other thing that we also added based on your instruction is with the computing and mathematics, we deliberately have introduced aspects of coding. So in computing, it's called computational thinking. In mathematics, they call it quantitative thinking, which are the basic skills that learners need to learn to grasp the concept of coding and then automation and AI going forward. So we have taken care of that.
Education Minister Haruna Idris also said the revised curriculum represents a transformational step for Ghana's education sector. He has directed the Ghana Education Service to develop an administrative framework within 1 week to ensure the curriculum is ready for implementation and aligned with classroom realities.
The GES is given 1 week from today to review and bring the curriculum up to full implementation readiness and strict quality standards. This to ensure that the GES as an operational agency takes ownership early to guarantee smooth execution in the classroom and align administrative policy with classroom realities. I am particularly enthused that today, as we remind the GES, I heard the Director General of NACA on the medium of teaching and learning from kindergarten to basic year 3. And accordingly, I accept your recommendation that Ghanaian language be the medium of instruction from kindergarten to basic year 3. Learners at this level will be taught to read in a Ghanaian language. English language will be taught as a subject with an explicit emphasis on play-based oral activity.
That's Education Minister Haruna Idrisu there. Let's go into Zoom right now and speak to Dr. Peter Ante, the Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, IFirst. Dr. Ante, welcome to the program. I want to find out from you what really stands out to you about this revised curriculum, and does it really address the key gaps in Ghana's basic education system, you think?
Thank you very much, and good evening to your listeners. As a curriculum developer myself, I can say for sure that Ghana, in this country, we do not lack the expertise to put together a curriculum that is fit for purpose. So I know some of the colleagues that went to who were involved in the development of the curriculum, and I think that they would definitely come out with a very good document that can transform the basic education at that level. So for me, I have not seen the document, of course, because it was just handed over to the ministry. So I cannot speak to the content of it. What I can say is that I know the experts that worked on it, and looking at the caliber of experts that have worked on it, I know that they will definitely put out a very good document for the basic education level.
Already, one thing that stands out for a lot of people is that this new curriculum reinforces getting languages as the medium of instruction while expanding opportunities for foreign language learning. Do you think this is feasible, and how do we assess the balance?
I think that our problem is always about implementation. Our problem is about implementation. So yes, we have been talking about making the local language, I mean the Ghanaian language, the basis of instruction for basic 1 to basic 3. And in a recent report last year that was published about English proficiency seems to suggest that we do not have a problem with reading, but we have a problem with expression. And that fits into the transition from class 3 to class 4. So if the student is exposed to that local language, how the student is able to transition from the local language to now be taught in English in class 4 becomes very problematic. So what I'm trying to say is that all these things that the minister is talking about, the nice document that have been developed, the direction that have been given to GES, all boils down to implementation. Do we have the requisite, educators to be able to implement this curriculum to ensure that the rationale for its development is realized? Do we have the resources to do this? For example, and they're talking about robotics, they are talking about AI and other things. And Joy, you have been doing this series about students in very deprived communities. So sometimes we develop the curriculum for only those in the big cities. When it comes to implementation, it is those in the big cities that are able to benefit. Most of the students outside Accra, outside the big cities, do not benefit because one, they don't have the resources, and then two, the learning environment is not carved in a way that will even enable the implementation of what the curriculum is supposed to be doing. So I think that the minister's focus should be at the implementation. How do we get the best out of this document that has been developed by these wonderful experts? And that is where the problem is. It's never about the document. It will never be about the document. It will be about implementation. I think that is where his focus should be.
Well, the Ghana Education Service has been given just 1 week to develop a roadmap for its implementation. Do you think this is a realistic timetable, and what should be prioritized?
Not at all. So that is why I talk about implementation. So if you are looking at 1 week to do the administrative work, review this, and make sure that it is fit for purpose, because NACA sits somewhere and GES sits somewhere. NACA develops the curriculum using experts, and then it's handed over to GES for implementation. Now you would have to think about how you're going to train the teachers and other things. All these things will go into the administrative framework that the minister is asking the Ghana Education Service to do. You can't do this within 1 week. So right from the word go, you are putting pressure on the system. You would force the system to implement the curriculum in a way that is not supposed to be implemented. Then you will not be able to realize the objectives of the curriculum. That is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So you don't give GES 1 week to review this document. Looking at it took the people developing it a long period of time to be able to put this together. And now you have to get experts within the Ghana Education Service, and if they would want to fall outside it, to now go through this document to see how best they will be able to even plan out a national kind of training for the teachers at that level, to look at the resource constraints and how to be able to get these resources that will respond to the various things that have been said in the curriculum. You can't do this within 1 week. So right from the word go, we are rushing through this. And I suspect that if care is not taken, the ministry would insist that this curriculum rolls out in September when school reopens. I think which is also going to be very, very unfeasible. I think that they should slow down, take their time, and let this roll out next year, which I think would be feasible for implementation. By that time, we have trained the teachers and we have provided some level of resources for the various schools before we talk about implementation.
Right. Dr. Peter Anti, thank you very much for your time this evening. He's the Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, I First there. Remember, you can also be a part of this show by sending us a WhatsApp on 055 11 11 997. What do you make of the stories we brought to you so far? Dr. Mahmoud Baumia has visited Chairman Wontumi in prison. The minority is describing the current economy as a Galamsey economy, and also the new education curriculum that is coming up. What do you make of it? Share your thoughts with us. We share it with the rest of the world. It's now time for business, and George Wiafe is here with the latest. George?
Well, coming up, Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Isiama warns rising crude prices could come with some shocks for the Ghana city and the international reserves. We also bring you reactions from economists and businesses to the Bank of Ghana's decision to hold the policy rate at 14%. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials, Center's tanks, and Pepsodent, Herbal, and Charcoal.
Your home could be anything you want it to be. It could be a stadium.
He's just 12 yards out. He shoots.
Oh,
yes! Yes!
What a strike!
It's a goal.
Or a gaming arena.
Yes! Let's go!
Sometimes a classroom.
Madam, please, I don't understand.
All right, let's go over it again. Which part don't you understand?
The whole show.
Or it could be an office.
How many orders are ready? Okay, send them to East Legon first.
Or even a research center.
Daddy, what is the Big Bang Theory?
Wait, let me ask ChatGPT.
You can make your home anything you want it to be, because no matter the experience you want at home, MTN Fiber will power it. Get unlimited internet up to 500 megabytes per second from as low as 299 Ghana cedis. Connect your home or business today. Visit the My MTN app or dial *5057# to check fiber availability and request now.
MTN.
Who dey brush? We dey brush them. Who dey brush? We dey brush them. Brush your teeth, brush your teeth every day and night. Slide the gems and talk to them. Brush the gems away. England gem, we go brush them. Croatia gem, we go brush them. Panama gem, we go brush them. Figo.
Whatever the germs, brush them away with the new Pepsodent, now in limited edition World Cup packs. This advert is FDA approved.
Cast your mind back to 2022. The prices were rising. The stress was high. Every liter of fuel felt like a sacrifice. Do you remember who stepped forward first? When others were comfortable with high prices, Star Oil chose you. We cut our own profits so you could keep your AC on, keep your engines running, and keep your life moving without the heavy burden. We gave you room to breathe when things felt tight. Because of you, our star savers, we became number one. Today, the pumps are a battleground. Others are finally cutting prices because they have to. But Star Oil, we do it because we want to. Don't just chase a price, remember a friendship. We were there for you then, and with new innovations coming your way, we are here for you now. Star Oil, still quality and affordable fuels for all.
Introducing Ghana's leading pay-as-you-copy photocopier leasing company. Lease an A4, A3, heavy-duty or production machine and pay for only the copies made, or design your own payment plan. Simple and tietia. That's not all. Incredibly, toners, repairs, maintenance, follow-me printing, centralized tracking all come free of charge. Remember, financial prudence is the name of the game. Folks, forget about the expensive gimmicks and be smart. Join the hundreds of satisfied clients across all the 16 regions and every sector of the economy and save over 60% of your printing costs. Visit us at www.valexlease.com or call 0244-644048. Be prudent and lease a copier. Terms and conditions apply. Valex Lease is a wholly owned Ghanaian company. Valex Lease, affordable document management solutions.
You know that feeling. A hospital bill that arrives out of nowhere. A diagnosis you weren't prepared for. A system that seems designed to confuse you, and costs that keep climbing. and the stress of not knowing if you are protected. Eating isn't lost. Eating Care was created to give it back to you. Eating Care is health insurance made for everyday family life. With Eating Care, getting health care is easy and you are backed by a trusted insurance partner with years of experience. No confusing terms, just complete protection for your entire family. Step back into peace. Step into experience you can rely on. Reach out right now at 059-692-1844 and choose Eating Care today. Eating Care is brought to you by Acacia Health Insurance, a member of the Enterprise Group.
Hello, good afternoon. I am calling from your bank. We are currently experiencing a system downtime, so we need to secure your account. Please, can you confirm your account number and your login details so we can restore access immediately? Yes, your username and password, just to verify.
Beware of fraudsters. Your bank will never ask for your login details, PIN or password over the phone. Shine your eye. Spot the fraud. Stop the fraud. This message is brought to you by the Ghana Association of Banks.
If you spot the fraud, you go fit to stop the fraud. Make you know they lose God.
Syntax Tango! Syntax, hey, you're tough, hey, you're strong. If you want quality, this be where you belong. Syntax, hey, you're tough, hey, you're strong. Oh, Ghana shout, sing the song. When the sun they hot, Syntax no break. When the rain they fall, still no shake. Builders they choose and plumbers they prove. Any project you they start. Syntax
You're welcome back to Business on News Night. Now, Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama has warned that rising crude prices could come with some serious shocks for the Ghana city and the country's international reserves. The governor was responding to a question at the Monetary Policy Committee press conference today on how long the reserves can withstand any external pressures. But the governor has also maintained that despite this challenge, the outlook is stable, insisting that the reserves will remain strong. James Shen has the rest of the story. We apologize for our inability for that sound to come out well. But the governor of the Bank of Ghana has also maintained that the decision to halt financing of gold bulls operations could help check inflation and liquidity going forward.
Either government takes up its funding entirely, or a resort to the markets, the use of the markets to fund it. And then when the markets fund it, what happens to the effects that are associated? We still have a role, but that context is still being discussed with the Gold Board, and I'm sure the market will be informed very soon. You were asking if that will complement what we are doing now. Certainly yes. Certainly yes. Remember last year, the impact on our financials was quite significant. So since then, a number of steps have been taken, and this change is actually part of the reforms, so that we continue to benefit from the activities of Gold Board, but then at the same time, we stem the impact on the central bank's balance.
And that was the governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Esiama. Let's bring you the earlier report by James Shen about the governor showing that the outlook still look favorable despite the recent depletion or cut in the country's foreign reserves.
Like Zambia, we also just came out of a debt restructuring. I also inherited a very difficult economy. Inflation at 23.4%.
Apologize for that sound. Let's bring you some reactions, because let's first hear from Professor Peter Kotu, who is an economist. He has been reacting to the decision by the Bank of Ghana to hold the policy rate at 14%.
Decision by the Bank of Ghana to hold the policy rate at 14% comes with a lot of mixed feeling. Even though inflation has been quite stable, the cedi has been stabilized for a while, we still would have expected that the policy rates would have come down by now. And that's what we're expecting as a chamber and as a business community. That's what we're expecting. But be that as it may, we would better take that than it's increasing. We hope that things get better so that at their next meeting it goes down.
Let's try and get you the reactions of traders who have also been reacting to the development in terms of the Monetary Policy Committee holding the rate at 14%. That is Clement Boateng, is the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association.
I think it's a step in the right direction because, like we all know, the issue of policy rate, has some correlation with inflation, and so therefore, look where inflation was and is currently at. They don't want to, do anything that will, see to the rise of inflation. And we also know that policy rate also has some effect as far as lending rate is also concerned. And with the current reference rate, which is about 10.555 now, which has some bearing as far as lending rate is concerned, they don't want to do anything that will throw all these indices away, and that is the more reason why maybe they have decided to let the policy rate still remain at 14%.
And that is Clement Boateng. He is the president of the Ghana Union of Trade Association. Earlier, he rather had the president of the National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Stephen Mason. Let's now bring you the reaction of economist Professor Peter Kote to the Bank of Ghana's decision to hold the policy rate at 14%.
The central bank's decision to hold the policy rate at 14% is certainly in order, in the sense that in as much as inflation has edged up slightly, the threat of higher inflation is very minimal. And also what is happening in the Gulf region, the US-Iran war and its effect on oil prices is very unpredictable. It might end soon, it might end in the short to medium term. So it is better to hold on and have more information than to react immediately. And I think staying the policy rate is certainly a good way to go.
And that is economist Professor Peter Kote reacting to the Bank of Ghana's decision to hold the policy rate at 14%. And apologies not being able to bring you the report earlier about wrap of the Monetary Policy Committee meeting and other issues that came up during the press conference today. My name is George Jaffe, and that's all for business on Newsnight.
Well, thank you very much, George. Let's do sports. Daniel is here. Daniel, what's up?
Yeah, and the Confederation of African Football has announced the AFCON expansion from 24 to 28 teams starting from the next year's edition to be co-hosted by Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. The new format will feature 7 groups of 4 teams, and we'll have the top 2 teams plus the 2 best third-place teams progressing to the round of 16. The competition was expanded from 16 to 24 teams from the 2019 edition and lasted for the last 4 editions. Also today, CAF President Patrice Motsepe at a press conference, he confirmed that the Confederation will respect the decision of the Court of Arbitration for Sports, their decision concerning the AFCON final, which was played earlier this year. Senegal beat Morocco 1-0 on the pitch before CAF reversed the decision to hand the Moroccans a 3-0 win after they deemed that Senegal had forfeited the game. Senegal are contesting the decision at CAS, and CAF says whatever the court comes up with, they will respect that decision.
The process is now before CAS, and whatever decision CAS takes, we will respect and implement. I mean, look at what happened at the World Cup. decisions that referees take, there's always a contestation. What we have to do is to learn from what happened, and we've already passed laws to make sure that what happened in Morocco never happens again. And also keep engaging with the referees, VAR, match commissioners, to make sure that the rules and the laws are very clear.
That was Patrice Motsepe, the president of CAF, speaking there, bringing that into sports. Back to you guys.
Oh, thank you very much, Daniel, for bringing us the latest in sports. The executive director for Global Info Analytics, Musa Dankwa, is joining the conversation on Zoom right now about his ratings of the performance of MPs, which has already received some backlash from the MP for Inshaya, so Dr. Stephen Amwa. Musa Dankwa, welcome to the program. Dr. Stephen Amwa has described your poll as dangerous and one that misrepresents the work of MPs. Was that what you sought to achieve?
Absolutely not. I mean, we are pollsters. We're not technical experts that examine how the MP has performed. We just went into their constituencies and asked their voters, the constituents, to rate the MPs based on excellent, very good, good, average, poor, very poor, or they have no opinion. We did not give them any guide as to what to look out for to rate them. They should, on their own, give us a rating. So what we have done is simply aggregating the views of the voters in the constituency and bringing them to fore as a guide for the MPs and nothing more. And this actually was part of the national tracking poll. We asked many questions, and one of them was how they assessed the MP's performance.
I see. And is your poll measuring MP's actual performance or simply public perception of their performance? Which is which? And should Ghanaians interpret these findings as what?
We are doing political opinion poll. What would influence an election outcome? Is it the perception that influences the outcome or the technicalities? In our view, it is the way the people perceive your performance that would either make them vote for you or vote against you. It does not matter what you think you have done. It is their view and their assessment that matters.
Musa Dankwa, thank you very much. He's the Executive Director of Global Info Analytics there.
Well, the minority and majority in Parliament have clashed over a report revealing a decline in the country's debt-to-GDP ratio to 44%, with the latest figures becoming a fresh battleground ahead of Finance Minister Dr. Kasiel Atoforson's mid-year budget review on Thursday. Minority spokesman on the economy, Kojo Oponkoma, is cautioning government against excessive excitement over the reduction.
Need a broader debt sustainability analysis, as I've mentioned, a broader scope in terms of what type of debt we are talking about. Speaker, we don't have to rely on cedi appreciation as a basis to say our debt stock has reduced. Because as you observe, in 2025, when the cedi appreciated by about 43%, as a result of the pumping that the Bank of Ghana has been doing, it appeared as though the situation was getting better. Just yesterday, when the Bank of Ghana published the new debt numbers, because of the about 8% depreciation we have seen year to date, our debt stock is gone up by about 47 billion Ghana cedis.
The majority, responding to the minority's attempt to take credit for the failing or falling debt to GDP ratio, had this to say.
Many of our friends are turning to be prophets of doom. Things that have not happened is what they are talking about. But the report speaks for itself. You all seen the good news recorded in this report. We left a loan portfolio of 120 billion. By the end of the 8-year term, you move it to 748 billion Ghana cedis. Debt to GDP ratio moved to over 100%. When you were living, it was around 61%. And now it's 44.7%.
Jeff Kwame Gyasi is Communications Director for the Ghana Union of Traders Association. He joins me via Zoom now. Welcome to News 9. What are your expectations ahead of the mid-year budget review? Unfortunately, we've lost Jeff Kwame Gyasi on Zoom. Let's take you to other stories now. And the governing National Democratic Congress has revealed that following allegations against some members of the current administration and party officials for participating in illegal mining, the National Executive Committee invited the named individuals for questioning and further investigation. Speaking on Prime Morning on Joy Prime, the Deputy General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress, Mustafa Bande, said no evidence of involvement in Galamsey was found following the investigations.
We'll bring that sound later though, but in the meantime...
I know my Koliwa, I know my Koliwa. 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 I know my Koliwa, I know my Koliwa.
Now time for your say, and Edem Kojo is in the studio. Edem, what are people saying about the stories we've been bringing them?
Well, yes, this from Kojo Fiagbe says, I pray that a day will come when the NDC foot soldiers won't be gathering in front of Ioko in protest to support Ruth Sedo of NSS. And this is in reaction to the NASBA issue that has been going on for the past 2 days. Wow, this is a very lengthy one. I would have to do that later. This says Mr. Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia failed to use the power entrusted to stop them, or to stop Mr. Wontumi from destroying our forest. This from Nana Kwea Mwa Boatin in Ablekuma Central says, we the MPP strongly believes that Chairman Wontumi incarceration is a political decision, not born out of any evidential substance. I encourage all MPP members to put all difference aside and work towards victory come 2028. Now, Reverend Nelson Tete from South Tong says, I agree that the problem when it comes to the curriculum has always been implementation, I think. And Nana Inspector says, goodness me, so at what stage would a learner start taking instructions in English to understand their textbooks? These are some reactions that have come based on the stories we've done, particularly with the curriculum and other issues.
What sound do you have for us today?
Kenneth, so, okay, this is quite lengthy. Let's listen and have a conversation.
Okay.
Hello. But good evening.
Good evening.
But I want to say,
no,
that may mobile money I'm moving about life. When take a message be mobile money.
Yeah,
and I check a phone of someone who says a message be about life.
I mean, me a quato.
Where quata? Now to that pick a call.
I'll be a pick a mamma.
You've been a pick a mound. Do a quata.
Me a quata.
Many fun of pick a call for phone man.
Yo.
Oh.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, look at F1.
F1, la mobile machine.
F1.
F1. What is it?
But I go back.
La cuckoo de tea.
But I go out.
David, phone my blood back.
I believe.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, so for those who don't understand the local language, this is someone that called someone and said he had sent some money to the person, and the person check his mobile money to check and see if some alert has come through. Well, the guy says unfortunately his quarter
he has leprosy.
He has leprosy, so unfortunately his hand cannot touch to check. And he tells the guy that he should give the phone to the person who picked the call for him, because if he, and the guy picks, and now the person who picked the call now is speaking. He says, mobile money.
That's quite interesting.
Well, yes. So Kenneth, the reason why I brought this is, in fact, social engineering is something that is being used to get a lot of people to lose their money from through mobile money. This is what scammers usually use. They don't have your code. They use very sophisticated, try to convince you socially, psych your mind, and then take out your money. Well, the reason I brought you this is that there's a conversation happening at 8 p.m. today on Joy News and Joy 99.7 FM, the station. So you should tune in. It's the Trust Crisis Digital Economic Forum in partnership with Habtel, where today we are discussing why fraud is holding back Ghana's digital economy. Because we realize that a lot of people say they don't want to now probably take cash, take mobile money transfers, because there's a tendency to believe that their money will be stolen. So it's a very interesting conversation we'll be having. We'll be having resource person from the cyber security. We'll be having economists. We'll be having, in fact, it's a very packed panel. So do join at 8 p.m. and it will be hosted by yours truly, Evans Mensah.
Right, indeed. Thank you very much, Edem. Could you bring in us your say? And as you mentioned, do not forget to join the conversation at 8 p.m. on radio, on TV, and online as well. That's it for Newsnight this evening. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. My name is Kenneth. Gyasi?
My name is Gemma. Appiah.
Don't forget to do the two. Brush your teeth day and night with Pepsodent. Have a good evening.